It's time now to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. Well, venture capital investment in Indiana tech companies increased by triple digits in 2019, a record year for the state. TechPoint, the state's technology initiative, says first quarter of 2020 results modest, but a promising start to the year. Then came COVID-19. Pleased to welcome back to the show, as always, TechPoint CEO Mike Langellier, who has a look now at the numbers and how the pandemic really could impact the investment landscape in Indiana going forward. Mike, it's always good to see you.
Thanks, Gary. It's great to see you, too.
All right, let's touch briefly, because these numbers in the first quarter don't reflect the pandemic, but coming out of 2019 and into this year, 2019 was a really good year, momentum coming in. What do we see in the first quarter of this year?
Yeah, as you said, 2019 was a very strong year. 2020, we came out into 2020 in Q1 with a modest start, a respectable start, not as strong as last year. But as you said, things change really rapidly at the end of Q1.
Well, let's talk about that to the extent that you can kind of characterize the impact. First of all, on the VC communities, what are the funders and the folks with the money? What's been their initial response or reaction? How are they impacted by the pandemic?
Yeah, I think as so many of us have, for the most part, investors went into assess and try to figure out what is going on and what the true impact is. If you think about these venture capital firms, they've raised portfolios to invest from other investors, and so they have a fund to invest, and they're making decisions about where to invest those dollars. I think one of their first reactions was many of them pulled back on prospecting activities and new investment activities to really focus on their current portfolio of investments and to understand what situation are they in, how exposed are the industries that they're selling into, and as a result, and for many of them, they're trying to determine how much potentially more investment could their current portfolio need. What venture capital firms do when they make an investment into a company, they reserve money back in that fund that they can invest in subsequent rounds of investment. And so as economic impacts like this happen, they oftentimes will have to make a decision to allocate more money for further investment, knowing that they have current companies in their portfolio that might need additional investment to weather this kind of a storm. So I think we saw, just over the course of the past month or so, we saw a couple different investments. Lessonly raised $15 million was the largest of those. But I think we have to take into account the fact that those investments were already in the pipeline. They were already in the works, and so it was really a consummation of a deal that was already in process. We won't really feel and be able to measure the impact of COVID-19 on venture capital investment for another quarter or two to truly see what the impact is on current prospective investment activity.
Yeah, I think everyone or many right now, Mike, are looking ahead to post-pandemic. What is it going to be like? As you look at the tech landscape in Indiana, the startup community, how do you assess the impact on companies? Are there going to be certain companies in certain sectors, obviously, that are going to be impacted more than others?
Yeah, I think there are a couple main components to it. One of them is, if you look at it just from a business continuity standpoint, and all of us adjusting to working from home as I am today, I think fortunately for many tech companies, that remote work business operation was something that was already fairly familiar territory. And so making that adjustment was less disruptive than it was for a lot of other industries. The biggest impact, though, is going to be felt is going to be dependent on what industry, what customer base those companies sell into. So there are some companies in our ecosystem that sell, for example, into the travel industry or sell into the event industry or hospitality industry. Those events are getting hit really hard right now, and as a result, they are getting hit very hard too. There are others that we hope will see, but healthcare, for example, or remote work, enabling technologies, those ones stand to do well, or maybe even logistics technologies stand to do well in an environment like this. Again, it's early to tell, and there's a difference between busyness and activity and ultimately profitability and financial success. But I think that that's the way it's largely going to fall. All
right. Great perspective, as always. Mike Langellier, the CEO of TechPoint. Mike, thanks for the great work you do around the state of Indiana. I know we'll be talking a lot more over the course of this year. Stay safe.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Gary.
All right.